Cinema 9 podcast. Yeah. Hey,
Sorry,
Paul.
we're not ILM, Paul. That's all we can do.
How amazing. How amazing was that intro graphic, Paul?
That was spectacular. I mean, like, look out, Star Wars. Yeah. And we got Travis back. Travis is back.
Hey!
Hello.
Welcome back, buddy. Hey. This is Cinema 9 Podcast. Welcome in. I'm Michael Govier, Travis Roy, Eric Bransham, as always. And today's special guest, as we're going to focus in on Fight Club, that'll be our main event, what we dive into deeply, is brought to us by our old pal, who has technically been on the show because we uploaded a special episode when we did the Feast episode last October. It's the one and only, the man himself who actually is in the biz, our old pal from back in the day, Paul B. Frieling. Hey, Paul, welcome in. Yay! Exciting times.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm very excited. I had a blast in October and many more to come.
Yeah, well, there could be some more blasts on this show, depending on who steps away. But that's a shit joke for those of you who don't know that.
Hey, I'm puking too. We don't need to tell everyone everything, but if we're going to tell them, let's tell them everything.
Tonight, all new pukers. Paul B. Frieling, you've loved film for a long time. You do have some experience. You actually have credits on some films. Where did the passion come from? Do you remember where the movie passion started?
For the making of it, definitely 5 Minute Classics. Old Jim Tackett's house. Yeah. I always kind of think back on that. Like, that was kind of the moment I realized, like, I think it was me, myself, Eric, Lascow, and Chad Gibbons. We were trying to do a 5 Minute Classic. Nobody wanted to hold the camera, so I took it, and I'm like, and I just kind of realized, like, hey, it would be funnier this whatever gag we were doing. It'd be funnier if we cut to this or did a close up or a wide shot, whatever. And I was just like, I think I instinctually understand what I need to do to make this whatever we're doing better. It was seriously at that moment that I realized, like,
I'm picturing
like an act for this.
I'm picturing like the Fablemans, this beautiful story about Spielberg getting his inspiration. Then you at Jimmy's house shooting a wrestling buddy on the toilet, Hulk Hogan wrestling buddy on the toilet, and being inspired to become a filmmaker.
That was honestly the moment. I'm not even kidding. I honestly tell that to my mom too. I'm like, you're not even gonna believe it. Remember those stupid 5 Minute Classics?
That's awesome. Those were fun.
Yeah, hell yeah, they were. For those of you that don't know, when we were in high school in younger days, us and our group of friends, I didn't really participate, but I've watched plenty of them. 5 Minute Classics were just quick videos that these guys would make over at our friend Jimmy T's house, and that's where it all started. They were usually always hilarious. So many funny moments. Squat. I think of a lot of things that come to mind.
But I was a fan of film before that,
No,
my love of film was far before that. But yes, that was the moment of, like, I think I could do this. So awesome. Yeah, that was that moment.
You don't have a moment first time you went to a movie theater and you're like, wow, this is awesome, I want to do this?
Well, I had that, like, childhood, like, I didn't really think about how movies are made until later on, in my teens. So it was just kind of a, Hollywood and the whole concept of movie making was, like, so out of reach, in Michigan for a 10-year-old. So I didn't even think about filmmaking until a little bit later, especially when we started doing the 5 Minute Classics. I was like, oh, I get it, on some level. So, yeah.
Oh, it's beautiful, Paul. Thank you for sharing your past with us. I mean, that is what it's all about. We love movies here at Cinema 9. Travis, you love movies, right?
Oh, a whole bunch. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've watched movies with all of you guys before.
That's true.
That's a fact. That's a straight fact. That's true.
Yeah, a lot of times. We've all watched movies together. Now we're in separate parts of the country.
Yeah. All four of us are in different homes right now. It's fun. But that's what Cinema 9 provides, a varied approach to film. Eric, in Griffith, Indiana, they love movies, don't they?
Yes. Real quick, I just want to say how happy I am to be here with you guys. This is a legendary posse. I mean, I love having the guests on because it's really an opportunity for us to reconnect. Like, we say a lot, but like one thing this podcast does for us that I really appreciate is just reconnecting with old friends. And, you know, it might not just be that. It's not always easy for me, especially as a introvert with enormous anxiety issues, to just pick up the phone and talk to my old friends. But so seeing Paul and of course you guys just makes me very happy. It still makes me anxious, very anxious.
Why call a friend when you can go on a live show and put it out for everyone to hear?
That's kind of what I'm getting at.
I'm with you. I've been telling our friend Steve this. Steve has been popping on as a guest on Is It Safe, the show I do with Luke Horlbeck, friend of the show, and who also just had a baby. Congratulations, Luke, to your child. Your child is in the world. Welcome to the world. And it's a girl, too, so it's nice to see the Horlbeck line switched up a bit. So many dudes in the Horlbeck line. Nice to get some female blood. You have two? Wow.
Yeah,
two Lukes.
Two girls.
He's got two Lukes. Two Luke miniatures in his house.
Two Luke babies.
But Steve was saying, like, boy, it'd be really nice if we could, like, talk on the phone. It seems like the only socializing we do is when I come on the show. And I was like, yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. I feel bad about that, and I really should call you. But this is really our time to socialize is do the show.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I don't feel great about it, but hey, life is challenging for some, and I'm doing the best I can. We'd love to dive into, we're going to get to our main event, which is Fight Club. Paul selected Fight Club from 1999. We're going to dive into all the nitty gritty with it. Does it hold up or not? A little bit later in the show. We like to start off with a little bit of a movie tidbit minute, and this has been a fun thing we've been trying to. What's going on in the movie world? What's the haps on the craps when it comes to entertainment in general, not just film, television's in play. Travis, you got anything you'd like to share with us this week?
Not particularly. Harvey Weinstein got sentenced to another 16 years in prison today. So
not long enough. Yeah,
that's on top of the 23-year sentence. So he'll
die.
Yeah, he'll almost certainly die.
Yeah, he'll die.
So. Well, everybody dies, right, Mike? But
hey,
but yeah. So good news.
Yeah, good news. That is good news.
Excellent news. Man's behind bars for life.
Eric, did you copy the same one?
No, I did want to resurrect one I had, but I kind of forgot about. The Razzies. The Razzies are under fire. You hear the story? Razzies are under fire for nominating a 11-year-old girl
for Firestarter.
For Firestarter.
Yeah.
This girl, Ryan Kira Armstrong, is 11, does her best, gets hired on, probably because her parents forced her in the business, and then she gets nominated for a Razzie.
Wow.
Well, but they've retracted the nomination, and they've also
retracted it.
Yeah,
like, how does that?
I mean, by board.
There's got to be many people that are running this thing. Like,
has anybody
no one
seen
is
the
like,
film?
this isn't a good idea. No, I heard it's horrible.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. Yeah, I mean, they retracted it because of the backlash.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but they went through it. I mean, we trash a lot of kid actors on this show.
Yeah,
but we have said a couple of times, like, we'll prefix it by saying, you know, we understand like they're kids and stuff, but like, this is inexcusable. I mean, this should have never even made the nomination in the first place. Are you fucking kidding me right here?
Yeah, maybe it's a death knell for Razzies. It seems like it's just too, you know, I don't know, too fucking smarmy.
Yeah, I agree. You know, obviously the kid wanted to do well, you know, and she's how old? 12? 11. Yeah, I mean, she has a lot to learn. So yeah, it was a little bit of a low blow in my opinion.
Honey, you're up for an award. Really, Dad? Yeah, golden raspberry. Oh, you like raspberries?
Ooh, I did think it was never said publicly or out loud. But I thought there was an unspoken agreement that the Razzies wouldn't go after children. And even someone like me who will always rip a kid actor. I can't stand kids in movies, but that's just too far. Come on now. I don't like it at all. I don't want the Razzies to go away, though. I do like that they exist because there's so few things that, that go against
you. You can't stand kids in movies.
I don't know that any of us can on this podcast.
Yeah. Well, like if it's a never-ending story, I love the never-ending story.
Okay, all right. Because that's what I was going to say. I was going to never-ending story, The Goonies. Come on. Like,
love those.
For every Atreyu, there's like 1,000 really shitty kid actors.
I guess I should clarify by saying that I don't like when a kid gets kind of forced into a film when I'm trying to watch maybe adult fare or something more dramatic, I guess. I try to think of a great example. What's a good example, guys, that we've done on this show where it's like, oh man, why is that kid gonna be there?
Kind of.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's the ultimate. Dakota Fanning, worst performance of all time.
Fanning.
That's guaranteed Razzie.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the first one where I went, oh, please take her off screen. Like, I just can't take it seriously.
You nailed it.
Okay. So, yeah, to clarify, there was actually a good example recently where I was starting to watch a film and I got freaked out that the kid was going to be more
Michael Clayton. We ended up, the kid was pretty good.
Oh, yes.
Great scene.
Thank you.
Good. And The Witch, we had good things to say about the young boy.
I gave that kid full credit in The Witch. That kid was incredible. So it's hit or miss, I guess. I'll just say that, Paul. But
yeah, it is hit or miss.
You're in California. You live out in that world. Do you have any movie news that you're excited about? Any movies that are coming out this year? Any entertainment in general? A TV show? Some rumors? We'd like to play around. We can go any direction you want. Anything fun you'd like to share?
In terms of sharing like something new, honestly, I haven't really. I've been so intertwined with my own stupid shit going on that nothing upcoming that I'm super excited about right now. Oh, David Fincher's what is it?
Killer.
Yeah, looking forward to that. Oddly enough, we're talking about his Fight Club today, but really looking forward to that. The Flash. I'm not. I'm a huge Batman.
How are you feeling, Paul?
Fan. I'm not feeling excited about it, and I want to be. It just looks silly. I think you said it last week. It looks it's silly.
Goofy.
The CG Batman flying around like I don't know. I'm not sold yet. So obviously I'm going to see it, but I'm not excited to see it as much as I thought I would.
Oh man. So, okay. Well, I understand that. Sometimes, not everything could be the cocaine bear, I'd get it.
Yeah.
So
I do want to see that actually.
I want to see that. I am excited about the Flash movie. I'm going to go see it. I admit it. It's gotten me amped up a bit, but I am concerned a little bit. But at the same time, that's life. You got high hopes, and sometimes you're worried it's not going to work out. So that's just what happens. I'm going to go in, see what happens.
On top of that, I'm not a huge Ezra Miller fan. I don't think he's a great actor. No,
oh, wait. Forget the bullshit. It's just his acting, period.
No, forget the bullshit. I don't care about his life. Whatever he is.
I don't care about his life.
I've never thought he was a good actor. I mean, the first moment I ever saw him was Amy Schumer movie. My wife loves that movie. I forgot the name.
Trainwreck?
Trainwreck, yeah. I thought he was terrible. He wasn't funny. He was. I remember thinking how awkwardly he delivers his lines. And then every time I see him, obviously maybe I'm a little biased at this point, but like every time I see him, it's like, I'm not buying your character. I'm sorry. I don't really like him. Yeah. Sorry, Ezra.
He's watching right now. They's watching right now, and they are very upset. I will say you maybe should watch. They need to talk about Kevin. Is that what it's called? They need to talk about Kevin.
We need to talk about Kevin.
We need to talk about Kevin as a solid.
Yeah. Okay. I remember that movie, and
he's good in it. They're good in it. I mean,
all right.
They're fantastic.
I'll give it a try.
Okay. Well, who cares? I'm not here to sell you on Ezra Miller. I will tell you though. Forget movie news. Me and Travis knocked out a great episode of this show without Eric on the MCU Phase 4.
Fantastic.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, that was a lot of fun to do. I'm glad we finally got that episode done. Travis, you went from 18 to 1. We followed your list. You ranked them from the worst or like the least enjoyable project to the most enjoyable project of all of Phase 4. I thought it turned out pretty well.
I was really happy with it, except for the part where I referred to Arishem the Celestial as a Sentinel. I have not forgiven myself. I've not forgiven myself. Oh man!
I was like, shit, the Sentinels are back. Why didn't I see the Eternals?
Standing in the shower, driving to work. I'm like, I know what the fucking Sentinels are. I know what the fucking Celestial. We're gonna think I'm a fool.
Yeah,
I loved it. I mean, you know how I feel, but like, you guys had something interesting to say about every single one. Like, you didn't blow any project off, but you didn't like rush through any of them. Like, I got the most insight out of all of them. It was awesome. I loved it.
Thanks, man.
Kind of made me want to jump in.
That's okay. That's
just saying.
All right, settle down now. Settle down.
Okay. All right.
Phase 4, Marvel, real quick. Paul, have you enjoyed Phase 4? Or?
Yeah, for the most part. I haven't seen the Ant-Man. That's out, right? Have you guys talked about that?
Quantumania.
I haven't seen it yet.
Well, that's technically Phase 5, right?
Oh, that's Phase 5. I'm sorry.
right, Travis?
Yep.
I'm a little out of the loop at this point with Marvel, but I do enjoy the Marvel phases. So I will definitely check out that episode.
How overworked are those VFX artists over there at
Well,
Marvel,
that yeah, I do come from that side of the spectrum a little bit.
Mhm.
Yeah, we're definitely overworked. Luckily, I'm getting out of that the artist's chair, quote unquote. But yeah, there is a big uproar right now about especially Marvel. I mean, we could go on and on about that, but yeah, there is an issue there.
Well, they are going to reduce the load, which we talked about in the Phase 4 episode.
Yeah.
Especially Bob Iger came back to take over Disney, and part of the whole deal is to return control to creative executives, but at the same time slow down the process. So there will be a reduction, right? That sounds familiar to you. You've probably heard that, Paul?
Yeah, I'll believe it when I see it, but yes.
Never trust Iger.
I mean, we're talking about 2,500 shots of just pure VFX per film.
Wow.
You throw that onto at 5 studios, and they also have a tendency to sort of bid studios against each other, trying to get that best flat rate, and then they just take advantage.
Yeah.
Which is ultimately what happened to with the brain farting right now.
That one movie?
Years huh?
That movie?
That
one thing.
Yeah.
Well, there's replacing importance. Like from what I understand, after reading a couple of things
from years ago.
Oh, the Hulk.
Oh, Hulk.
Oh, love Hulk.
No, not Hulk.
Crouching Tiger.
No,
Life of Pi. Talking about? Oh, Life of Pi.
Life of Pi. Yeah, that was it.
Is that a Marvel movie?
That was. Yeah, that really shook the industry up.
Really?
10 years
Billy
ago.
Lynn's Long Halftime Walk, is that the one? It's an anyway, movie. Just saying.
I can go on and on about that.
Well, Paul, we appreciate your insight. That was you really opened up the doors there. Now I feel like I know a lot more than I did before the show started. Those of you who don't know, Paul knows a thing or two about movies. He works out there in California and has a good time doing it. He's got 2 lovely daughters, a lovely wife, and a lovely home. Things are looking up for Paul this year, and we hope that you'll feel the same about our quarantine viewing picks. As we turn it over to Travis, what do you got in store for us today, my friend?
Well, I've watched so much. I mean, I'm sick now.
Oh.
I had COVID.
Yeah.
I had snow day. It was 2 weekends because we skipped the thing. So I watched a whole bunch of shit. But I'll pare it down a little bit. I had mentioned on the show that I'd never seen Fences when we did Manchester by the Sea. I'm here to tell you that Denzel Washington definitely deserved the Academy Award.
Absolutely.
He was incredible in it. Perhaps the performance of his career, which is saying a whole hell of a lot. I mean, he was amazing in it. Amazing. Loved it. Mm-hmm. I'd never seen speaking of special effects and Marvel and screwing people, I'd never seen the 1994 Roger Corman production of Fantastic Four before. So I was like, well, let's watch it. But before I watched it, I'm like, let's watch the documentary about it first. So I watched the documentary about it, and I'm glad I did, because then I was like, oh man, I was ready to have a goofy time and kind of laugh at it. And now I just feel bad for all these people that were doing the best they could on $1 million budget. But that was totally interesting to watch that. Finally.
Where did you watch it, Travis? The film?
The film is on YouTube. Yeah. It was
that
leaked.
Says it all.
Yeah, it was leaked several years ago. It's no longer.
Is it like a feature-length film?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah. I mean, and it has the quality of a 1990s Sci-Fi Channel movie. I mean, it is something else.
Yeah, it's funny. I haven't seen the film, but I have seen that documentary you're watching.
It was interesting. I liked
it. Is it better than Fantastic Four with Miles Teller?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes,
it's saying a lot.
Yeah, it's not saying a lot. I'm a big Mark Maron fan. He's finally released his new special on HBO, From Bleak to Dark. If you like his work, you should definitely check that out. Very, very solid. Mike, have you checked out the new Reese Witherspoon offering, Your Place or Mine, the romantic comedy with Ashton Kutcher?
I need to do that. I have not.
I don't know that I'd recommend it. I can tell you that a 2-hour romantic comedy that has the stars sharing the screen for 3 divided minutes, literally, I'm not even exaggerating. They share the screen together for 3 minutes, broken up throughout the whole movie, maybe 5 minutes. That's it. So kind of there's complaints of chemistry. Well, there's no chemistry when they're not in the same fucking room.
I
don't even know how
Still
this thing
Sweet
got
Home
green-
Alabama, huh?
Yeah, I don't know how this thing got greenlit. Like, who decided? Let's make a romantic comedy without any romance or comedy.
She does
So-
have her own company now. Her production company. I don't know if it's behind it or not, but it's there. She has a lot of power she's trying to wield. So I'll have
Hit
to
and Run
verify if
Productions?
she's behind it.
I'm all
don't
for
know.
it, but this ain't it. This ain't it.
Okay.
I've been a fan of the filmmakers, the directing duo Benson and Moorhead. They did The Endless. and
Is that
Strain.
real?
Yeah, it sounds like a cigarette company, but that's their
Benson
name.
and Hedges. Yeah.
Law firm.
So I checked out Synchronic from 2019, a kind of a mindfuck time travel movie with Anthony Mackie and Jamie Dornan, which was totally worth checking out. And then I followed that up with their COVID picture that starred themselves, and they shot it in their like bedrooms in their apartments. It's called Something in the Dirt, and it's kind of like weird. I mean, it's not exactly a comedy, but it's certainly satirical. It's like, what if something genuinely unexplainable happened to two dudes who were fucking idiot conspiracy theorists? So that's fun. That was definitely fun. Weird and kind of a few places like wore out its welcome. I checked out Me, Myself, and Irene, which I guess we're not talking about.
Yeah, did you now?
For the first time?
No, that was supposed to be last week's episode. I'm not sure what's going
I
on with
see.
that. Mike stepped away for the moment, so we'll address that later, I guess.
Me, Myself, and Irene.
Me, Myself, and Irene. We watched it. I checked out Quantum Mania, which I talked about on the Marvel show that we did, and loved it. I've been bashing with regularity Toy Story 4 along with you, Eric. So I thought, well, I've only watched it once. I better sit down and see how I really feel about it. And I watched it again, and my God, the animation's just incredible.
Beautiful.
I mean,
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's
that
spectacular.
rainstorm it starts off with. I mean, it's just it's unparalleled. It's some of the best animation I've ever seen. And
Beautiful.
I still don't like it. It's still my least favorite of the four. But I do feel a little less like what they did with Woody's character was a betrayal. It felt this time watching it reminded me a little. I actually kind of thought a little bit of Steve Rogers in the MCU and how some people felt like that was a betrayal, but I did not. I was okay with him doing something for himself. So I'm trying to be a little more open-minded about Toy Story 4, I guess is what I'm saying.
That's good. You should do that.
I am. I checked in with continued my attempt to complete the filmography of Nicolas Cage by watching G-Force, the sole directorial. Yeah, I see that. Very nice, Paul. The sole directorial effort from Hoyt Yateman, visual effects legend. This movie stars a bunch of guinea pigs and like real life. I thought it was an animated movie, but it's not. It's like a bunch of talking guinea pigs. And leave it to Nick Cage to be in a guinea pig movie and voice a mole instead of a guinea pig. I checked out Babylon, which has gotten a lot of talk. Yep, it's currently streaming on Paramount Plus.
I want to see it.
Of course you do. Everyone should see it. It's good.
Yeah.
It's good. It's not great.
Ooh.
It's not great. The complaints are valid, I think, but also it's a good movie.
8 hours long?
It's 3 hours long, and dude, 10 minutes in, literally, I paused it and went, I'm fucking exhausted. How far are we into this? It's 10 minutes before the title card. And I thought about turning it off.
Oh, shit.
Really glad I didn't. It was really good. It's got really great performances from actors I love and really great performances from actors that are new to me. Overly indulgent. This is why not every director needs to have final edit. It's not the worst idea in the world to have someone come in there and be like, about 40 minutes of this doesn't really belong. Definitely worth checking out. But another example to me of the fact that like filmmakers are more and more, in my opinion, just becoming unchecked and bloated, and they need to be reined in here and there and be like, you're really good at it, but let's like have a cohesive plot. But it was good. It was good.
Damn.
I'm gonna wrap it up with the movie that blew me away this week or this last couple of weeks. Besides Quantum Mania, of course. I actually had forgotten that it was nominated for a best documentary feature. I just kind of stumbled across it on HBO Max and watched All That Breathes. I'm not usually a huge fan of movies that are shot on digital, but every now and then it can be done with the right camera and the right director where it is I mean, it's gorgeous. This movie's fucking gorgeous. And on one hand, it's about these three dudes in Delhi who are trying to save black kites, like the bird, the species of bird. But really what it's about is the way that animals, like in urban environments, are forced to conform to humanity. And it's just, I mean, like you're looking at rats and bugs and all this shit, and it's like amazing. It's shot so beautifully, and you're watching like these animals, not just rats and bugs. There's other stuff that's like cute. Don't worry, there's some cute animals too, and birds. But I mean, if you are an animal lover at all, I strongly recommend All That Breathes, and not just for like the inspiring story of these three guys who devote their life to saving animals, but just it's really profound. It's really poetic. The way it addresses the way that humans just smear ourselves all over the planet and every other species be damned. It's fantastic. I was blown away.
Hey, get some consciousness, then take over. What can I tell you? We got the intellect. Sorry.
They are conscious. Yeah. They're not asleep.
I just put that on my queue.
This sounds fucking great.
I did.
Love HBO Max.
We're the powerful species. We've earned our right here. It's our time. It's our time. It's our time
now. I'm taking it all down before I go.
Oh, that sounds like fun. Is that all, my friend?
I left a few out, but yeah, that's enough.
Okay, thank you. All right, Eric Branch of Griffith, Indiana. What you been staring at?
Dude, I fucking watched Jack, starring Robin Williams, directed by the legendary Francis Ford Coppola last night.
Yep.
Oh, man.
I mean, what am I supposed to say here? I mean, I sat through it. It is a movie. It has Diane Lane in it and
Jennifer Lopez.
I mean, Jennifer Lopez. Like,
forgot.
It wasn't completely incompetent. Like, I could sit through it and enjoy some of it. But, I mean, at one point, we had Robin Williams literally farting into a coffee can. And I had to say out loud to myself, from the director of Apocalypse Now. So, I mean, it's out of control. But, you know, I've seen worse. I turned on Runaway Jury again after Hoosiers. I saw Gene Hackman, and I'm like, hit play immediately. It's so bad. It's one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my entire life. And this is coming from a John Grisham fan. I'll watch any movie that's a courtroom drama. Any movie. I'll turn it on and I'll enjoy it. But not this one. It's horrible.
I almost pressed play on that this week. So.
Don't do it. Don't do it, man. You're going to be tempted with this cast. John Cusack, Jeremy Piven, like Rachel Weisz, Dustin Hoffman. Wow. No one can save it. Like, it's the type of movie, like 2 minutes in, you're thinking to yourself, like, what were these actors thinking, like, at their premiere? They all had to be like, oh, fuck, all that work, and this is bad. You know what I mean? It's like, you can tell, like, early on, like, the director has no control over anything. And I normally like Gary Fleder. I love Kiss the Girls, but it's so horrible. Worst John Grisham movie ever. At Close Range. It popped up on Amazon Prime, and it's been like 20 years since I saw it. I hit play. Spellbinding. It's so fucking good. I'm sitting here watching Christopher Walken give one of the greatest performances I've ever seen in a movie. And I'm getting pissed. Remember I was talking about Dennis Hopper, and I was getting pissed off thinking about fucking Koopa Troopa and all this bullshit he's been doing. I'm watching Chris Walken, and my mind is blown at how just fine an actor he is. I'm thinking about the Country Bears and Switch and all this stupid shit. Like, I want more. Like, I kind of deserve more. When you're this good, you should. I mean,
I think it's over, dude.
Parody yourself.
Yeah, the party's over. He's an old man.
Eric deserves more from Christopher Walken. Chris, put down what you're doing and come entertain Eric.
Wasn't he in Wasn't he in an Amazon Prime series last year? I didn't see it.
No, it's an Apple Plus series. Severance.
Okay.
Excellent.
I heard he's good in it too.
Don't come after Switch on my watch.
Okay.
I'm coming. You bring it to the show. I'm out. Freddie got fingered situation.
I'm coming.
It's so fucking good. The Funhouse. Toby Hooper. I've been hearing about this horror movie forever, and I finally got a chance to watch it from 1981. A bunch of kids get trapped in a funhouse overnight, and like weird shit happens and stuff. It's not good. It's not good. Don't rush. Don't rush. We got Elizabeth Berridge, who's like this. Remember the succulent Constance Mozart from Amadeus? She's in it. Beautiful. But the movie just cannot. It has no directions, no control. It's just all over the place. It's not good. The Whale. The Whale. I watched
Oh,
The
you
Whale. I
saw
spent $20 on The Whale.
Yeah,
I
I
rented it for $20, and I watched it because I'm a Darren Aronofsky. You pay that $20 and you watch it in its entirety.
Oh boy,
it's kind of bad. I mean, it's kind of bad, and this is coming from a big Mother ! Fan.
Wow.
I mean, it's like the kind of movie that should have came out in like 2002. Like it seems very like dated. Like all the stuff is trying to throw at me seems just very like 2002, like the hours and all that stuff. It just seems like this seems derivative at this point. Did you see it, Paul? You're a big Aronofsky fan.
I did. Yeah, I saw it in the theater.
Did you like it?
No, I mean, I didn't hate it.
I didn't hate it. I was just like, who
cares? All right, yeah, who cares? I don't care. You know, Brendan Fraser was really good in it. He pulled off a really great performance, but overall, the movie didn't do much for me. I walked out, meh.
I was
I hated the ending. Actually, I thought the ending was stupid. It was very Darren Aronofsky ending. It was what I was expecting out of it.
Obvious. It was just it was so obvious. It was cloyingly obvious. We got the pissed off strange daughter.
Yeah.
Like,
what about Hong Chow? Was Hong Chow fun in it?
He's fantastic. We got like the dead gay boyfriend that like we got to feel bad. It's just like
right.
We've been here before. We've treaded this water so many times. Yeah. I just expected more from Aronofsky. He seems like such an intelligent filmmaker that would just be able to cast some of these tropes aside and just do something new. Yeah. And Brendan Fraser's getting all this credit. He was great in the role, but like he's great in every role. He's fully committed to even Furry Vengeance. Like he's committed to every role. And here I'm just like, you're in a fat suit and you just like can be dramatic. I mean, this is fine. You were great in School Ties. You were great in Encino Man. Like, I don't know, man. I turned off the TV just disappointed.
Yeah. That fat suit was impressive, but yeah, the film itself was.
That's the highlight, folks. The fat suit.
The fat suit. I believed it, man. I was like, wow.
I believed it, but part of me is kind of on board this crowd that's like, just hire a big actor. There's a lot of people that are really big that would love to act. Just pull the trigger and try it, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. My highlight of the week.
The Leo movie, you know, What's Eating Gilbert Grape?
Absolutely.
That was a real.
Yeah, Doris Coates, Darlene Coates, fucking fantastic.
Yeah, she died recently, didn't she?
She did.
I think she died much sooner. I actually like not too far after the film. I'll look it up.
Okay, maybe you're right. Yeah, I do know she died, but yeah.
I normally don't go on this long, but like I've been out for a couple weeks. My highlight of the week was To Leslie. I also rented this at a high price because I love Andrew Riseborough. So I hit play on To Leslie and I loved it. I thought it was fucking fantastic. And I was fucking pissed thinking back at this controversy, these stuck-up, spoiled brat Academy members scoffing at this announcement that she was up for Best Actress. It's one of the best performances I've seen in years, and people are pissed off just because they haven't heard of the movie. Fuck off, man. Watch it. It's fantastic. She's so good, and Mark Maron's fantastic. Love this story. Love this movie. See you, To Leslie.
How dare you, sir?
I look forward to watching it. And I do think that this kind of manufactured controversy around it
popularity contest
a little bit ridiculous. On the other hand, of course, I mean, the complaints about important Black women like Viola Davis and performances like Danielle Deadwyler's and Till. I mean, I do think that it is kind of strange that neither one of these people got nominated. So I can understand going after Andrea Riseborough specifically, I think is fucked up.
She didn't show up for the Oscars luncheon because she was like, well, fuck all you. You don't want me to be nominated? Then fuck you.
And I think that sucks. I mean, to have that such an important event for her tainted because she deserves the recognition. Like I haven't seen the movie, but I've seen her performances. So I do think going after her specifically is weird. But I certainly respect and understand the other complaints personally.
Yeah. Well, hey, that's life. Oscars,
that's it, man. Jack.
No one's going to feel bad for you. Yeah, Jack. Never forget it. A legendary moment in time. By the way, Darlene Cates, Paul, she did die in 2017, so I apologize.
Okay.
I was wrong.
Okay. Yeah, I thought it was not too long ago, but
The Whale. Fuck, man.
That
was rough.
Character's name in What's Eating Gilbert Grape is literally Mama, just for fun. So Hey, did you play Mama? Yeah, that was me. I played Mama. All right.
Amazing film.
So I had never seen this film before. This is one of the standards in the almighty lore of Hollywood for all times. This movie is almost 60 years old, and I finally watched it. 1965's The Hills Are Alive. I've watched it.
Oh my God!
I never saw it.
So much.
I feel like
I love it. Did you
was
cry
involved in
when
this.
Christopher Plummer sang Edelweiss?
No.
I do every time.
First off,
Every
he
time.
fucking hated being on the movie. He
Yeah,
didn't want to
did.
do that,
So
and
what?
they dubbed his ass. I read all this shit on him.
Yeah. Oh,
He
shit.
hated being on that film,
he got
and they
stupid.
dubbed him.
He was so good in it.
I know. Weird. But just telling you the truth.
Did you like it?
Yeah, it's when you watch a film that has so much
Baggage.
yeah, baggage, gravitas. It's a film that has so much respect to decades, and especially in musical theater. And, it's incredible all the songs they wrote. Now maybe it's because I never saw the film, but I'm like, oh, I know that song, and I know that song, and I know that song, which is wild. They're very catchy songs. Full credit to Rodgers and Hammerstein. Very cool. Not a bad watch in 2023, oddly enough. Wasn't that bad. It was pretty solid. It was decent. I enjoyed it. I did.
I haven't seen that movie in 20 years. But that was a movie my mom watched over and over.
Yeah.
Over and over. Mary Poppins, too. She had a thing about
hate Mary Poppins.
yeah.
Julie Andrews.
Back-to-back years,
Julie
Paul.
Andrews,
Back-to-back years. Julie Andrews did those movies back-to-back years. 64 and 65. That's impressive.
Mhm. Amazing.
And then she got pissed that she was being typecast as like a nanny slash governess, as she is in Sound of Music, and she showed her tit in Blake Edwards' movie in the 80s. Just to say, hey, look, see, I can show my tit.
Oh, Mr.
Yeah.
Finn chiming in.
I gotta say, they're nice.
She's a gorgeous woman. She's a
Yeah, she
beautiful,
was.
talented.
Beautiful.
It's weird because I didn't see that movie until I was in my teens, and I was like, because I never looked at Julie Andrews as a sex symbol, and then I saw that movie, I'm like, holy shit, she's hot.
Yeah.
I'd give
I
her
can't
a
remember-
spoonful of sugar.
I can't remember which Blake Edwards movie that was, but she's still alive too, by the way. Julie Andrews
Yeah,
still
yeah.
rocking
Yep.
in 2023. So, Sound of Music. You never saw it. It's definitely worth the watch. I saw a 1985 movie I never saw. Jumped ahead 20 years to the 80s, and it's a movie by Rob Reiner. I've seen almost every Rob Reiner movie ever, I thought, but I never saw The Sure Thing with John Cusack and Daphne Zuniga.
I've never seen it either. How was it?
You know what? It's the type of movie that probably wouldn't be made today, because it's called The Sure Thing, co-starring Anthony Edwards too. Nice to see him, and it's not bad. It's
about.
I like the. It is. It's about a man who's desperate to fuck. That's true. I'll say that. That's not really a secret. So there's also Tim Robbins checks in for a minute as like this really uptight guy. It's pretty different. It's a very low-key film, super low-key. There's not a lot going on, so you just have to be able to be like, okay, I'm going to settle in with these characters, but I would say it's worth giving it a watch. I would. It's not your typical 80s movie either. It almost doesn't belong in the time period if it wasn't for the fact that he's a horny early college student who wants to bang. That's really the end of the 80s feel to it.
Until American
yeah.
Pie.
I was just thinking, that's exactly what popped in my head when I said that. It's probably not surprising. So check out The Sure Thing. Oh, and I did a double dip on 1985 from a movie that was a staple. I've never mentioned this on the show. This was a VHS staple in the 90s at my house in Heartland. It was in that wooden case that you opened up with all the VHS tapes, had two doors that swung open, full of tapes, and then more on the shelves. And the box always stood out over every other film. And this movie is Runaway Train, starring John Voight and Eric Roberts. And this movie, I didn't know if it would suck or not because I was like, my mom loved it and they bought a copy. DiBiase was a fan in the 90s. That doesn't really, DiBiase didn't have the best taste in film, in my opinion. But Runaway Train is fucking great. It's so good. It is a Akira Kurosawa script originally, didn't direct it, and then Andrei Konchalovsky from Russia, a Russian director, picked it up and then does it with Voight and Eric Roberts, and Rebecca De Mornay jumps in. It is really good. I am a strong proponent of this film. I don't know where you can find it or where it's available, but Runaway Train from 1985. John Voight, if you've seen Anaconda and you thought John Voight was on one in Anaconda, monkey blood. Yeah, forget it. This is the new. He goes so over the top for this movie. Sometimes it's genius, other times it's hilarious, and other times you're like, "What the fuck?" It is. It's worth a watch. It's definitely worth a watch. High action too. It's about a runaway train. It really is. So, yeah, I really enjoyed it. I'm glad I watched it. And then The War at Home, 1996 film. Directed by Emilio Estevez, who's becomes to me, he's actually one of my favorite directors now. Everything Emilio Estevez directs, I really enjoy. He's got such a sense of social responsibility and like taking a look at what's going on in our country and people as a whole and analyzing it. And The War at Home is where he really, I feel like he took off and he stepped up. It stars his father, Martin, and Kathy Bates, and it's an excellent film. And again, it's about a Vietnam vet comes home from the war, but it's not like the other ones. It's really about like a family. It just really kind of focuses on the home, and it's very powerful, very intense, and he acts just as good as he directs. So full kudos to Emilio Estevez. The War at Home is something you should definitely see if you've never seen it before.
It's been quite a few episodes since we've praised The Public. We were doing.
Yes, see?
Big Public fans here.
Love The Public. I love Bobby. I mean, I love the Way. The Way was one that's right there with all those movies. I just really like what he does with film. So check out that if you're interested. All right, Paul Frieling, you're here. You're our guest. You're a special little guy today. This is your one chance to share some movies with us today. What would you like to recommend? Some things you've watched recently, or maybe just for all time, a movie that people need to see. Give us some.
All right. I made a quick list while you guys were doing your thing. I'm like, okay,
Shit, this
movies that I never saw growing up that I should have. Monster Squad, 1987.
Okay. All right.
Didn't see that until about a month and a half ago. Turned it on. I don't know how I missed Monster Squad. I know I've probably seen the VHS copy in the store for numerous times, but somehow I always overlooked it. But yeah, loved it. It was just fun.
Wow.
It made me feel like an 8-year-old kid again.
That's so gratifying. That's literally one of the first movies I saw, and I have such a special place for it. And for like someone who to be a grown man and see it, and to still be like, wow, that's great. I mean, it says volumes about that movie.
It was spectacular. I again, it just took me back. I felt like an 8-year-old kid from 1988 again. It was awesome.
That's awesome.
Let's see. Recent movies. I absolutely loathe the recent Halloween movie. Halloween.
Oh Jesus!
You don't say.
It was atrociously bad, and I'm working with the man, the myth, the legend right now, and I don't even know how I can look at him in the eye right now. I know he didn't direct it. I know he didn't direct it, but he did have something to do with it.
He didn't have much to do with that one, did he? Carpenter's
Well, he went on tour with it. He technically got some sort of producer's credit, and it's his name's on it. I mean, it's not John Carpenter's Halloween, but it is created by. He had to approve it. Let me put it that way. It was atrociously bad.
He sold his rights away to that
perhaps
franchise.
the worst of the franchise. I mean, it's
hands down. I knew going in it wasn't going to be good because I really didn't care for the Halloween Kills either. But this was by far the worst one. So I was actually kind of surprised by how bad it was.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Let's see.
Tragic.
We got Triangle of Sadness. I mentioned this.
Okay.
Yeah. I mentioned this to Eric last week.
Yeah.
I loved it. I mean, this movie blew me away.
I gotta see this shit.
Ruben Östlund. It's just, I mean, there's a lot to be said about the film. It's a satire, but it had me. I mean, this movie I haven't laughed this hard from a dark comedy, whatever you want to call it, since like The Big Lebowski. Like it had that level, that level of hilarity for me, at least. It was just so brilliantly written. It was even more brilliantly executed. Just phenomenal. I absolutely loved it. The communist versus the capitalist game had me rolling. I mean, it was just spectacular.
It's great.
It was good.
Eric, I really, really recommend you seeing that.
I thought it dragged a little bit in the third act, but it was good.
No.
I'm
I
there.
could have watched another 20 minutes of that. Easy.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Knock at the Cabin. Saw that in the theater 2 weeks ago. Yeah.
Ooh.
How was
I
it?
enjoyed it.
Okay.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I wouldn't say it's his best film, but it's definitely a step up from, his previous.
I like
works.
Old.
Yeah. I liked Old too. I liked Old. I know a lot of Old got shit on, but I actually really enjoyed Old. It had me engaged. It wasn't the perfect film.
He
but
seems like he's just keeping his head above water these days, like not pissing you off, just like, hey, it's fine, right? It's fine.
Yeah. Like I hated The Happening, just like everybody else.
Hey.
Yeah, it was a really dumb movie, but no, I liked Knock at the Cabin.
Knock at the
It
Cabin.
was good. Yeah,
That's awesome. All right, I'll check
Dave
it out.
Bautista.
Dave Bautista.
yeah.
Dave Bautista's everywhere. He's like, I'm a serious actor. Fuck Drax. I'm serious now. I'm really good, aren't I?
I recently saw a movie called Blood. Brand new horror movie. It's a vampire movie. I'm not usually into vampires, but I usually hate vampire movies. And again, I hated this movie.
Oh, fuck.
It was awful. The trailer had me sold. I thought it looked pretty good. But it wasn't just a bad movie.
Shit.
It was like poorly acted, poorly written. I was really disappointed in it. And I had high hopes after seeing the trailer. I was like, all right, this looks pretty good. So I actually spent $6.
Oh, fuck.
$6.
Yeah, $6 to rent this movie. And I was like,
Jesus.
man, yeah.
Drag.
Let's see. Men.
Men?
I finally saw Men. I didn't see it all through 2022.
Well, we were
And
talking about
finally
this at the
caught it.
feast. I thought you had seen it before, so I was like spoiling everything. I'm like, oh my god, it's fucking so good. I didn't know you hadn't seen it yet.
No, I had not seen Men.
Oh
And
man,
I absolutely loved it. Alex Garland. I know, Eric. You're hit and miss with Alex Garland.
I hated Annihilation. It was fucking trash.
Annihilation.
Oh.
I would say Annihilation is his weakest. I love the ending to Annihilation. Honestly, I felt the same way about Annihilation that you did up until the end. And I was like, okay, this is kind of a big payoff because I really don't like the film up until now. And then I'm like, it had, again, I'm not comparing it to 2001. It's Odyssey, but it had that level of like, transcending that I always enjoy from movies. So yeah, I enjoyed the ending of that film very much.
Me too.
So
People hate men, dude. People hate men.
I don't understand why. Like, what is it? The woke thing? We
try not to say that word on the Cinema 9 podcast.
I loved the film, despite the whole message that people might have problem with. I loved it. I thought it was spectacular.
Yeah, I got to see it.
It's a slow burn,
So good,
but in the best sort of way. It builds tension,
so good.
and then the ending is just like, holy fuck, man! Like,
yeah.
I mean, it gets super. I almost want to say Lovecraftian in a way, where it goes beyond what I was expecting by far. In fact, but yeah, I really enjoyed that film.
I love Garland, so I'll check it out.
Dude, check it out, man. Check it out.
Yeah, Garland is, in my opinion, one of the best filmmakers working today. And
it's hard to argue. Ex Machina changed my life. I was like, whoa, that was incredible.
Yeah, love that. That was a fantastic.
Dude, Dread.
And again, I did really enjoy Annihilation as well, but it is his weakest.
Terrible.
In my opinion. Yeah.
I loved Annihilation, so I don't get it, but that's fine. We can disagree. I loved it.
That's all I got. That's all I got, guys.
Cool.
Hey, that's not all you got. That's a fantastic list. He's Paul Frieling. I'm Mike Govier. It's Travis Roy and Eric Branch of the Cinema 9 podcast. Hello. Hi, Travis. How are you? I did want to mention we do have an email. You can email the show cinema9pod@gmail.com if you prefer.
Emails.
Do we have two? I know we had one for sure from Steven that was mentioned by go ahead.
And Christian.
Oh, Chris. Chris. So Eric, I would like you to read Steve's email if you don't mind, because Steve texted me the other day saying, are you guys going to be on live? Because I'm going into work early so I can catch the show, because he said he was going to talk about my email. And I was like, oh, shit, I feel terrible.
I was
that we're
so
not
excited.
online.
Yeah, I was so excited about this email because I've loved the topic that he brings up here in this email. So, yeah, so if y'all seen the back rooms. Okay, 16-year-old Kane Pixels Parsons. He used this software called Blender. Okay, to extrude, in his words, double O Durham urban legends through a creepypasta maker and created found footage Mobius strips of Pippendale sprinkled with fucking Steve Gall. This is like a soup.
Obfuscation through clarity.
Stick shed syndrome After Effects too. He wants to know if we saw this YouTube short called Backrooms, which recently got greenlit for a feature film by none other than A24 Films, like one of the most prestigious indie horror / indie drama studios out there. And we're talking about a 17-year-old filmmaker who makes this short film called The Backrooms. And I saw this like a couple years ago. It's got like 130 million views. People love it. It's got like Siren Head in it, and it's like a big hit. And he wants to know how we feel about it. I mean, this email is very long, but
very verbose. We got the gist. Yeah,
I'm excited. So I mean, I don't know. Like real quick, I cannot wait. Like, am I a little worried about a 17-year-old kid getting behind the camera? I don't know. I mean, Citizen Kane was made by a 25-year-old kid. Okay, so I mean, A24. I mean, like, I'm a little worried about like if they're going to turn the Backrooms into like a trauma about like somebody losing their kid, and it's going to be all grief horror. Like, like, is Siren Head's kid dead? Did Siren Head lose a baby? Is this a miscarriage drama? But like, I anything they make, I trust, and I think we might have some talent here, and I'm excited.
In the email, he says, "Is this going to be something big that you guys are excited about, or is it the next Richard Kelly, which is a reference to Donnie Darko director
He's
Richard
canceled.
Kelly?" So
and Southland Tales, don't forget. I'd never heard of this until that story broke recently, and I was like, okay, I'll take a look at what the fuck Backrooms is, because I don't go to YouTube.
It's based on an internet mythology, though, right?
Creepypasta?
Yeah,
I mean, creepypasta is a whole thing on Reddit.
Okay, yeah, this is all pretty new to me. I did see the film. I thought it was really well done for a
kid,
17-year-old.
Yeah,
it's cool. I mean, I don't think that Siren Head is very convincing, but I mean, I'll be, it's a 16-year-old, or a 17-year-old now. But I will absolutely see this. I'm going to rush to theaters. I don't know. I'll wait for the word of mouth on it. But I don't think that A24 is in the habit, especially when it comes to horror, of making bad pictures and making bad choices about their filmmakers. I mean, they have a rock solid reputation, perhaps a better reputation right now than any studio in my opinion. I think Neon's really great too, but so I think that I think it's gonna be good. I'll watch it. I'll watch that movie.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. I don't know anything about it. I'm totally clueless, so I'm gonna have to dive in and learn a thing or two here, Steven.
Well, it's so cool that in 2023, with the way movies are, like, unless you're in a known IP, we're not even going to greenlight it. We're not even going to look at it. That a big studio like this would literally hire a 17-year-old kid to go ahead and adapt his own short film. That's so inspiring for young filmmakers that can put something out there, get noticed, and then be able to control and have creative control over their own product. That's fucking inspiring as hell.
It's he's the Bo Burnham or the Justin Bieber of A24.
Oh,
yeah, get them while they're young. That's what they did to Judy Garland. Lock them down early. Get them on pills.
I mean, self-made. Those guys were famous on YouTube before. Okay.
But it's true. It did happen.
Yeah.
Anyways, I don't know. Yeah, I'll check it out. Christian's email, you're right, Travis, was about how he's so excited that we are finally doing Fight Club after many moons of false starts and rescheduling. Paul was going to come out a couple months ago. Shit happens. It's okay. But Christian said, cheers to another time-honored film in the books, 2 weeks in a row. Who could forget these legendary works of art? Dream a Little Dream and Ghost Dog, The Way of the Samurai, back to back? I think he's being sarcastic, folks.
I think so.
How lucky are we? Yeah, that gives it away right there. The listeners, into what heaven have we been admitted? Very funny, Christian. Even though I was really looking forward to Fight Club 2 months ago, in lieu of these other titles, with such pivotal performances from What's-Her-Name and that one other guy, I'm happy to have lived here on Earth in our time and place to share this moment with you all. Dream a little dream, indeed. Signed, Mo Lester Burnham.
Our first hate mail.
Christian is perfect for that. I mean, keep it coming, Christian. Come on, be our foil. We need more of that for sure. And you could be a foil at cinema9pod@gmail.com, or you could just send us, hey, you know what? I like the show, period. That's all you got to say. Or say nothing. I don't care. But that's
Nothing
how you
would be
contact
better.
us. Nothing. And yes, you referenced it earlier, Travis. The Me, Myself, and Irene episode did not come to pass, although you guys did watch the film, so that is on record as being true. But maybe one day, who knows? Maybe we'll revisit it. But we're not gonna. Yeah. Well, life happens, you know. And we wanted Fight Club is your baby, and to get you on the show, Paul. You know, that doesn't happen every day. You're a busy guy. So I was like, just forget it. Let's just lock in. Power went out anyway. It's just been hell on earth. My brother is in a nightmare. It's been a lot of shit going on. So Me, Myself, and Irene, maybe I'll do like a bonus video about it or something. I don't know. You guys loved it though, right?
Well, save that in case we ever get to it.
All right, let's get to the main event. Fight Club, 1999 film directed by David Fincher, starring Edward Norton, Lena Bonham Carter, and of course Brad Pitt's abs, which are a big deal. This movie fostered a whole generation of assholes. It's a movie that has a lot of clout, and the reason Paul selected it is going to be revealed to us soon enough. But Paul, do you remember your very first viewing of Fight Club? Can you take yourself back in time? You must have seen it in the theater.
I did, yeah. I saw it in the theater with Josh Porta.
Hi, Josh.
The worst person, the worst person to see that movie with. No joke.
Oh,
Yeah. I remember he used to lean in his seat, and it would drive me fucking crazy if I was sitting next to him. He'd lean like this and be right in my fucking eye line every time.
Josh was an asshole to see a movie with. He would gleek on people in front of
oh,
Yes, You're right. He would gleek on people. That was a
gleek on people. I'd be like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Oh, dude, I'm just gleeking on people." I'm like, "Why the fuck do you do that?"
A habit he's surely grown out of by now.
I hope
no one said
so.
gleek
John
in
Porter, you're
25
out
years.
there.
We love you, but gleeking?
wow.
Yeah.
I haven't seen you in 20 years, but I'm judging you right now.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay.
So walking out of the theater with Fight Club for the first time was a bittersweet moment because of Josh and John. John was there too. So John and Josh Porta. Yeah.
So was I, asshole.
Yeah, you were there. You were there. In fact, Eric, you were on a date.
It was a rough night for me.
Yeah, you were on a date. Yeah, you were on a date.
You went on a date with 4 of your friends?
Oh, man.
No.
Separately?
Yeah, they drove separate. I drove with Josh and John, I believe, and then yeah. So it was an uncomfortable experience, to say the least. But my real sort of like the moment that I really took to Fight Club in was definitely my after a DVD viewing. So.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, you're not alone in that. Travis, did you see this in the theater?
I sure did. I saw this with friends of the show, Chad Gibbons, and I believe Steve Laskowski was with us as well. I think it was just the 3 of us, maybe Jimmy. And I distinctly remember walking out of the theater with Chad and like almost kicking some stranger's ass. I'd never been in a fight in my life. I still have not been in a fight, but like me and Chad, like we're both eyeballing this dude, ready to fucking rock him. And for nothing, for walking by us, I guess. We were like we were 19 and we were just like at the right age to not get any of the satire.
Awesome.
To just think, this is so cool. I want to be just like Tyler Durden, just completely missing the fucking point. And Chad even went so far as to start a little fight club. I was like, I like my teeth. I'm not going to actually join that with you. I backed out.
He always loved bloody arms. I'm not surprised to hear that. Wow. Amanda, who's been on our show, by the way, we did The Running Man. Oh, loving this high school gossip. That's right. Yeah, we're taking it back.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow. Almost got in a fight. Yeah, I guess so. Oh, Giles here too. Here he is. Steve's here. The guy who wrote the Watch Out for Chibbins.
Yeah, Irish Knuckle.
Yeah, bloody arms. Man, used to do that too much.
Whoa.
Eric Bransham. So you saw this movie with Paul at the theater with your date.
Yeah, it was very uncomfortable. I've been waiting forever. I mean, coming out of American History X, I was like, are you kidding me right now? Norton, Pitt, Fincher, I'm there.
Yeah.
But the marketing fucked me. I was not ready for it. I remember we went to the Star Southfield. Okay. I remember this was the only theater where you could this is like a big deal theater with stadium seating. We go there and I walk past the poster. I'm like, I can't wait. Let's get into these seats. And the poster has like soap on it with words Fight Club on it. I'm like, whoa, this isn't serious enough for me. Like, I want like something like dark and depressing. What is this? So I wasn't prepared for what I saw. It's almost like a comedy or some weird shit. Needless to say, the romantic interest quickly fizzled out immediately when I decided to go to a haunted house, the Donovan house, right after this screening. Paul, remember? I was like, I'm sorry, like I'm gonna ditch you and then go with my friends to this perceived haunted house in fucking where the hell ever, Dexter or something. Yeah, I went to the Donovan house and I blew my chances with a beautiful woman.
Well, it all worked out for the best. I feel like you're a happily married man now. It's wonderful. Hey, look who's here. Oh, wait, we already said that. He wants to say hi to Paul. Hey, Paul, says Steve.
He says, hey.
Hey, Guile, what's up, man? Been a long time. Too long.
I saw this movie on DVD. I did not see it in the theater. I remember the hubbub and the hubbubaloo and the dip-a-da-da, rat-ta-ta-ta. I just, I remember sitting there watching it and remembering how confused I was because I was 20 years old. It was 2000, I believe I saw it. And I think I already saw the poster on like Brandon's wall before I ever saw the movie. I heard a lot of talk about it, but when Brandon got it on DVD is the first time I viewed it. And I remember being like, oh, this is interesting. And I took the wrong message out of it like a lot of people did, especially if they were younger, like you fellas were when we were in the world in 1999 and 2000. We always like to guess the IMDb rating on this show. It's always fun. What is Fight Club's IMDb rating? This thing is a monolith. It's a huge film. It's got to be pretty up there, doesn't it?
I would think.
So are these ratings based on today or when the film came out?
Today.
Right now, as of this moment of recording, we look at the rating on IMDb.com. I have to think. The question is it at 8 or not? That's my only question. Do I go to 8 or not?
I'm not going to go that high. I'm going to say 7.7.
Okay.
I was going to say 7.5, but yeah, okay.
7.5? Eric?
Yeah.
He says 7.6.
I'm going to say, Travis, I'm really right there with you. I'll go 7.9 just because you said 7.7. Oh, 8.8. God damn.
8.8.
Holy
shit. This is easily our highest rating. I mean, that's a higher rating than I think even Back to the Future was.
Yes.
I think this is the highest rated film we've ever done.
Holy cow.
8.8. Holy shit.
That isn't, yeah. My mind is blown, Travis.
How many votes?
Oh, a shitload of votes.
150,000?
2 million.
What?
Higher than Back to the Future. That is
2 million?
2.2 million.
Wow.
That's by far the most ratings I've seen on a movie we've done, and it's the highest rating.
Oh my God, Eric's back. Tell him what he just missed.
Eric, did you see this?
It's got to be an 8.5.
8.8.
It's an 8.8.
My God.
And it has 2 million reviews. So that's wow. Okay, well, I'm blown away. That's unusual. For those who don't always keep up, I mean, if we get like 300,000 ratings on an IMDb review, that's a lot. So 2 million is huge. People are into this film for sure. On Rotten Tomatoes, where it is, Paul, what do you think of Rotten Tomatoes? As somebody who's made films, do you think Rotten Tomatoes is a good or bad thing in this world?
I don't really pay attention to the critics side of Rotten Tomatoes. I usually pay attention to the audience. That's how.
So you're glad it exists?
Yeah. I mean, I've used it. I do use it occasionally, not all the time. But I usually do. Again, I don't really pay attention to the critics. I pay attention to the audience.
We play for the fans, not the critics. Fight Club gets a 79% from the critics, but of course a 96 from the fans. So bigger gap than I thought too. I thought the critics would be like, "Oh, the satire is incredible," blah blah blah. But
I will say sometimes I'm wrong though. Sometimes the audience is wrong on things and the critics are right.
No, I don't believe it. As far as critical reviews, we like to always read some of our favorites. Maybe we'll get a Bill Goody Coons reference. Here's Roger Moore. He's become a regular. Not that Roger Moore, but
Orlando Sentinel.
Roger Moore from he's at Movie Nation now because this is from 2021. He moved on. So Roger Moore says cult films are seldom great films. They just connect with a corner of the audience more intensely than was intended, elevating their status. That's Fight Club. And appealing to the wrong sort of cult just makes that clearer. Anybody understand that?
Yeah, he's saying that the people that a lot of the people that appreciate this movie don't get it.
Oh,
also,
okay.
cult
See,
films
that's
aren't
what
immediately cult films. That's a title that's derived over time, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, of course,
Absolutely.
this movie's about a cult, though. So maybe he just meant a cult film.
Oh,
that's true. That is true. I like Ann Hornaday from the Baltimore Sun. Yeah. Okay. A movie that wants to keep its audience unsettled from beginning to end. Wow. Thanks, Ann. That was like saying nothing. I'm very disappointed in you, Ann. Do better. Let's see. Goody Coons? No Goody Coons? What if we get Destin Thompson? Here we go. Roger Ebert was still around when Fight Club came out, folks.
yes.
If it had all continued in the vein explored in the first act, it might have become a great film. But the second act is pandering, and the third is trickery.
Wow. Pandering and trickery. These are not complimentary words.
Yeah, that's harsh. That's a bit harsh. Yeah, here we go. Destin Thompson.
Hey.
Oh, thank you, Destin, for this. Back
We love you, Destin.
when this movie came out, he reviewed this film, and he said the following. If you want a movie that makes sense and doesn't make you chuckle at its sophomoric satire, laugh this one right off your list. One of his longer reviews.
Wow. So he doesn't like it?
No, he doesn't. It's a big old splat. So,
Huh.
anyways, yeah, I mean, overwhelming positive reviews, couple splats, but the critics like it a little less than the audience does. I think about this film, guys, and it's really hard to ignore the cultural impact of it. Like I said, with the poster was everywhere with the Brad Pitt in the bar of soap. This is Fight Club. Every dorm room for that period of time. And
Terminology from this,
Oh yeah.
like from this movie, like people just like talk about like unique snowflakes and that kind of stuff. There's stuff that's just like entered the lexicon, like entered the zeitgeist still from this movie.
Right.
I had a poster on my wall for many years that was it was Tyler with the abs right after the big fight, but the text was all negative reviews of the film. I fucking love that poster. It's one of my favorites.
It's awesome.
So it was everywhere, and then it also created this I don't know, it was funny, but it also came from a book too, so it's a source novel that created this film. Paul, am I remembering this properly? Did you enjoy the book as well, or am I making that up?
Well, I read the book, but I didn't read it until after I saw the film.
Same.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
I actually didn't. It was weird because it's usually the opposite. There's only a few books that I've read after I've seen the movie. I didn't really like the book. In fact, I think I liked it more because I had seen the film, so I could picture what the fuck was going on. But I don't know if I would have liked the book had I not seen the film. In fact, I've read other Palahniuk books, and I'm like, he's not an incredible writer.
No Lullaby.
Yeah, Lullaby is fantastic. I have to stand with Chuck Palahniuk when I say that the movie's better than the book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, he did openly say that too.
Yeah.
And I agree.
Shout out to Jim Olds, the screenwriter. I think
Yeah.
This is a really, really solid, maybe one of the best adaptations of a book I think I've seen. I mean, it significantly improves the material.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay, that's fair. And of course, it's directed by David Fincher. Now, David Fincher at this point, he had open season, right? He had Hollywood by the balls. He could do as he pleased. And then he comes. Go ahead.
I was just going to say the film, I mean, it revolutionized cinematography. It revolutionized the way you could tell stories. nobody had seen a movie like Fight Club before, and that's why it just came out. The first time I saw it, I didn't even get it. I was just so blown away. Yeah, I mean, I was just so blown away by what I was watching that you almost miss everything that's being thrown at you. It's kind of like the first time I saw Akira. I didn't. It was just so beautiful. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I had to watch it again just to kind of.
What do you mean when you say that? Can you give me an example of that, like in the movie itself?
Well, I guess I'm saying the movie was so beautifully done that it was hard to kind of soak in everything that was being thrown at you
from a technical perspective.
Yeah. And in a story, like I didn't fully understand the ending because I didn't grasp everything that was, being, shown, because that was so, again, like it was just so beautiful to look at. You kind of get sidetracked from, the message. So
it's a huge credit to Ools too, because he takes a book that is quite dense, quite innovational and unique and oblique, and he decides to show us things at these weird times. Like I wasn't used to being jostled around so much in my narrative. Like the narrator in the film, Edward Norton, he decides to show us stuff at these weird points when we're used to getting all this exposition in the beginning, so we know what we're dealing with, and then we can coast along. He picks and chooses what he decides to tell us about himself, his environment, and everything. We weren't used to that.
To me, I see elements of Tarantino here with Reservoir Dogs, excuse me, and Pulp Fiction, and the way that kind of revitalized the chronology of film and the way that stories could be presented to us completely out of order, not in flashbacks, but in just like, hey, this is how I'm doing it, and that's kind of what's happening here, I think.
Yeah, he did 7, he does The Game, and then he does this. David Fincher. I mean, 3 movies in a row. We did The Game on this show a long time ago. Did not hold up for us. Spoiler alert.
Unbelievably.
But yes, I mean, it's hard for a director to. There's so few people who are in that pantheon that can meet the hype and the status of their previous project, or at least meet that one or top it. And to me, he topped The Game with Fight Club. And clearly I loved 7 too, so I thought they were in a similar category. But you're right. There's so much to unpack, and everything that's going on is overwhelming at times, that if you watch it for the first time, there's no way you got it. And that's why I wonder, though, even though there are more things to absorb, does it have rewatchability? Is it better to see it as it was? Is the rewatch just as good as the first viewing? Because not a lot of movies can do that, and some are much better. The more you watch it, you're like, oh, this is comfort, and I just love watching it over and over again.
Thinking about that scene in the movie where the narrator and Marla are in the kitchen, and down in the basement there's Tyler like whispering up to him, and how clearly telegraphed that seems now, or like in the hospital room. Sometimes Tyler speaks for me. So I remember like the first time I watched this movie being surprised by the twist, but as far as rewatchability goes, at this point, I mean, this is almost sneakers level for me. I've seen this so many times. I've lost all perspective, and it's been a long time since I watched it. I was glad to revisit it, but there was a minute where I watched this one like once a week more.
Especially when that intense DVD came out that had more special features. You could shake a stick at it. It was just there was nothing like that.
Yeah. So I exhausted this one. So it definitely had rewatchability for me, and I'll dive more into my thoughts on this watch. But I mean, I certainly felt like there is, despite knowing every direction the movie was going to go in, it still gave me things to be interested in.
And talking about like first viewings, Mike, like expectation is such a huge term here when it comes to this movie, because the last fucking thing I was expecting from a David Fincher movie was a black comedy. And it took me years to kind of just settle down with the fact that this is nothing but a black comedy. And I did not expect that from Fincher in 1999 at all.
Yeah. Maybe I didn't see it that way. I knew it was funny. There was parts that I took out of it as comedy when I first saw it, but I was also younger, and things were just naturally. Yeah, we would just laugh. First off, it was a movie that I never watched alone. It was always a movie I watched with friends, it seemed like. So it had this camaraderie around it. We were like, oh, or like, holy shit, look at that. So
where I've been, Lou.
Oh yeah, Steve, there it is, man. You don't know where I've been, Lou. It's also super quotable, which I'm sure we'll hear at the end of the show, as we always do. There's a lot of quotable moments. Also, Edward Norton, as Eric said earlier, he comes off American History X, and then he does this. It's a total opposite. It's like a loser dweeb guy, although he's not really, but he's appearing that way after playing this super psycho, racist Nazi, really, is what he ends up being in American History X.
Yeah. I feel the movie could possibly, I'm surprised that it has such a high rating too, because in today's climate, it could be easily misunderstood. I mean, it's been misunderstood all throughout its, ever since it's, but especially in today's climate, I'm surprised people are really kind of latching onto it. I mean, it does come off at moments because I just recently watched it again and I hadn't seen it in years. I don't know, maybe 3 months ago. And I'm like, okay, there's moments of like a little bit of maybe misappropriates masculinity, or at least could mislead in that direction.
Well, Paul, this goes to the whole point of the culture it created. It not only was like a cultural touchstone, it created new subcultures in our society.
Right. But I also feel like in a lot of ways, a lot of people, especially our generation back in the day, liked it for maybe the wrong reasons. And it just like you said at the beginning, it created a generation of assholes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think
Mike, you've nailed it.
Yeah. And again, like I think in a lot of ways that's why I said it's easily misunderstood. So if you weed out all that bullshit, it is a brilliant film. But in today's sensitivity with people, I am surprised that it's still as well loved as it was back then.
I think that despite how some people have clearly, including myself, misunderstood it at first, something that's really obvious about the movie that's always been apparent, and I think has been one of the drivers of why people latched onto it, is its anti-consumerist message. It is very much about like we are in this place in our world, in our society, where we are desperately unhappy and trying only to fill the void with stuff because that's how we've been trained, and that's just not fulfilling us now. So I think that is more than anything, I think, is what has always resonated with people.
And that's ultimately what resonated with me, especially after the DVD viewing, was I really understood that element of it. Even beyond the masculinity stuff, like I was like, all right, I get this. I get the philosophy behind this. And it, like you said, that's what resonated with me. And I think that's ultimately what resonates with people. But at the same time, like, I also feel like it could have slightly done better at it too. So
I'm sitting here watching it last night, and it had been a good 10 years. Like Travis, I would watch this every week. Like I would just put the DVD in and watch it. It was my testimony, man. It was the Bible. I mean, for lack of a better word.
Wow.
But I'm watching it last night. I'm like, even when I was 30, like Jack may be, I never went on a furniture craze. I never really cared about what my apartment was like. You know what? You get this sense that like Jack is consumed with consumerism, but like, were you guys ever like really concerned with like, I mean, I go antiquing and stuff. Like I'm looking for a good, like a nice antique phone, but like, were we ever the type of culture here in this generation that like really cared about like what our house looked like and all these, like how big on consumer possessions were we, or is this like a Gen X thing?
Well, I don't think it's a Gen X thing. I think
because they really hammer down this like IKEA stripe green stripe patterns, but like even when I got older, I don't give a fuck about that.
It's not as obvious as that, though. That's what's insidious about consumerism and the culture of it, I think. And that's what the movie's trying to say. Yeah, you don't have to go on like a blatant shopping run or be obsessed with, I mean, there's always things, Beanie Babies, and then there's, Funko Pop things. There's always these crazes of certain things that people obsess over. But the data, what is really insidious and sick and threatening and really freaks me out about consumerism that we have in the United States culture is that it's just the day-to-day stuff that you buy that you're not even thinking about. It's not so much the obsession over specific items as it is I buy material items I don't even think about that I think I need that I probably don't. You know, I don't need certain food items, of course. I don't need certain things on my shelves. I don't need 10 different pairs of scissors. Like, the stuff just starts to add up. And that's what I think the movie touches on. But you might be right. I think it's case by case. Generations I don't like to speak to because I think talking about generations is just superfluous for me. It's like, how do you really, you can see trends, Eric, and I understand that, but I just think I think there's a lot of different people in a lot of different age groups that represent a lot of different things. So I just think it gets complicated and ends up being a pointless
let's
act.
talk about this. Well, let's talk about that generation for a moment. It's the late 90s. Okay. Tyler says they have no Great War, no Great Depression. They got
They're
it
definitely
made.
talking about Gen X. You're right about that.
They fucking got it made. I mean, yeah, there's no war. There's no depression. Your friends aren't getting blown up overseas. They fucking got it made. So I'm watching this in 2023 saying these are just a bunch of fucking spoiled brats whining about nothing. So if you're successful, big deal. Like, good for you. You're living happily. Why is that a bad thing?
Well, I think to add to sort of what Mike was saying, like, it's not just consumerism, but it's also like identifying yourself with consumerism, where, you know, and they reference this in the film, like buying something that represents who you are as a person. That's total bullshit. And then they were just sort of pointing that out. That's what resonated with me. It wasn't necessarily like, don't buy stuff because otherwise you're bad. You buying stuff doesn't make you a better person, or this doesn't identify, you know, you're not this, you know, these products that you're buying.
Are you still trying to say that my shirt from Hollister that I paid $80 for didn't make me cooler?
Abercrombie and Fitch.
I actually think of Train Spotting, which came out 3 years before this too. It talks about, you know, what you are, your job, your life, what it is. And there's some connections. There's drug use that goes sideways in Train Spotting, but I see some similarities, and I think there was a lot of movies during the late 90s into the 2000s that were trying to speak to a sense of, hey, pointlessness or lack of purpose as a generation, but for many individuals, they were happy to live their own independent lives free of any type of message. And one of the things that bothers me about this movie, though, is that it's too many things for me. I have a problem with, yes, it's got a message about our society and consumerism and capitalism, and it also has a message about friendship and unity in a group, you know, and Project Mayhem and what that brings about. And then it also says something about the duality of human beings and individuality. There are so many messages and so many different things going on that I'm actually surprised that it's as popular as it is. But when I think about it, I know why it's as popular. And it's what we said before, that people latch on to a line or a quote, or Tyler Durden looks so fucking good that it doesn't matter what he says. You just want to be him.
I think there's something like pop philosophy about it too, and especially if you're not quite getting it, you know, where you can feel deep, even if you don't know exactly what's happening here. If you're, I mean, I say that like I know exactly what's happening here. There are certainly things still on this viewer, and I'm like, wait, what? But you mean you shot yourself through the head, and now you're just gonna have a conversation?
Yeah, you're gonna hold hands. Relax.
You're gonna kill yourself for empty buildings? Okay.
I always actually defended that. He didn't shoot himself through the head. He shot himself through the cheek.
You know, he survived that. It comes out right here, out the back of his neck. Like it comes out like I
think he's perfectly willing to die too in that moment.
Yeah, he's ready to die, and I respect that. I'm just saying that, like, if you get shot like that, your body is going to respond. At the very least, you might fall down. I mean, more than just sit in a chair. Watching the movie this time, that to me was one of my biggest gripes, which it never really bothered me before, but this time I'm like, my God, like, I mean, at least have the man fall down on the goddamn ground and like bleed out something.
Yeah. I mean, my biggest gripe, a lot of people's gripes was like, well, how did that kill Tyler? I'm like, well, I think it was a psychological thing. He went to that extreme of like, I'll stick a gun in my mouth, pull the trigger for this guy to go away. and that was basically the answer.
But then once Tyler does go away, he starts giving orders to the Project Mayhem guys, which he could have done all along. But whenever he's interacting with the Project Mayhem guys, he doesn't know that he's got that authority, so he doesn't give them orders. But like, so once Tyler's gone, it seems pretty much like, okay, now I can be in charge, and we'll watch my plan come to fruition here, right? I mean, that seems like he's like on board with it once Tyler's gone.
Yeah, that's a good point. Steve has a comment. Remember that giant melee we got into with those Ypsilanti frat bros after they invited us to a party with them during last call at Pub 13? Oh, of course I remember this, Steve. Absolutely. Was that Fight Club cosplay or just hormones? Well, we were 24 years old at the time. That was in 2004. I remember I came back from Charleston for like a week in June, and that we left Pub 13, and it was so dumb. It was like Fight Club cosplay. I bet most of those guys at that party saw Fight Club like the night before, and they got shit-faced, and they wanted to relive their fantasy. So that's the problem with the movie, I think, too, is that people glom onto certain things, but you can't control what people are going to glom onto with the film. So I don't blame anybody for that, but I do realize that there's an aspect of this movie where it's like it takes the worst in humans, and particularly men, and what they're capable of and how they can act out, and it glorifies it in a way, or it was allowed to be glorified. You know what I mean? Like, it bothers me. I don't love it.
Well, how do we feel about like our hero Tyler Durden showing dicks to children in a movie theater? Right?
Shit.
But my question to that is was Tyler Durden really the hero? In a way,
no, you're right. He's not.
Yeah, he's sort of the villain, and
you're right.
And this is why I say like it's highly. We misunderstood it because for years I was like, Tyler Durden is like the god of
he's the villain. You're right. He's the antagonist.
He is the villain. Yeah. I mean that's the film holds up for me. But when I watched it 3 months ago, I was like, holy shit, Tyler Durden is a fucking asshole.
An asshole. I've always called it, regardless of Edward Norton's relation to this film, the American History X effect. American History X is a fucking fantastic film. 3/4 of it pretty much, if not promote, at least glamorize awful ideals and make them entertaining until like the last 10 minutes we're like, oh yeah, but like you shouldn't really believe this. It's kind of what this movie does.
Yeah.
All of Edward Norton's or Tyler Durden's like Nietzschean bullshit about suffering leads to enlightenment, and the ways that he does it is very extremely toxic. And it took a long time for me to realize that is just comedy, and we're supposed to be smart enough to negate that philosophy.
Yeah. And not even just comedy, but like it should be more obvious, I think. I mean, like to me as a 19-year-old, it should have been like watching it now. I'm like seeing the way that the crew in the Paper Street house adopts his message of we are the all singing, all dancing crap of the world. You are worth nothing. And then like it cuts to like there's some other dude who's now kind of saying that shit. And it's like, this is really obviously not a good thing. Why was I watching this being like, oh, they're disrupting society, so it's cool? Like, no, they're like they're disruptions of society. Some of them are just really cruel, just breaking up those cars and fucking up their tires and all this shit. That's like, wait, you're supposedly for the working man, and this is and you're supposedly for like the little people, and you're just gonna fuck with their paychecks. And above all, you want to make me think that you are some sort of like, and not even Tyler Durden. I'm talking about the narrator now. We're supposed to like think that what you're doing is so great. Be a whistleblower of the company you work for. Then don't use that as leverage to get a great severance package. If you know that your company is causing the deaths of families across the country, the world, like this isn't a plot point. This is what you should. This is what you should be doing. Like if you're it's kind of like hard to watch the movie this time and be like, oh, they're both kind of pricks, really.
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, could you beat your own ass like that? Is that really possible? Could you really cause that much damage, you think? I don't know. I'm still questioning.
Either way, there's something called a non-disclosure agreement, and he would be sued for millions if he went to court.
It's funny. 1999 had both Lester Burnham and this guy.
Narrator.
They both got, right. They both got severance packages from their companies in 1999. Good job, movies.
Yeah, from threatening their boss with bullshit.
Yeah,
also.
Exactly. Yeah,
I don't know.
That's weird.
The film does sort of you know, like I said, it misappropriates masculinity a little bit. You know, the Occupy Wall Street stuff happened 10 years later. They did it very peacefully. This is where I feel the film goes wrong. You know, it's a little on the toxic side. I still love the movie. I still love the film. You know, I still have that punk rock side of me that really digs the film. But watching it as a grown man, especially with 2 kids, I'm like, all right, they kind of treat Marla like a kind of poorly, you know.
Kind of.
She doesn't do much in the film. She's just sort of a, you know, kind of a
conduit. Yeah, that's all
she's literally like calling for help because she's like has suicidal ideation, and it's like, hey, this is a good opportunity to fuck.
Exactly. So I'm like, oh, like it rubbed me a little bit differently this time.
Yeah. Which is good.
And
We're growing up.
Yeah, totally. And that's ultimately my point was like, I feel like I've outgrown Fight Club in a way, even though I still enjoy the film. I have outgrown it a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, so like we're to believe that men can't be made into strong citizens if they're raised by women. Like, fuck that. Like one of Tyler's central messages is that we're a generation raised by women. So we need to have solidarity with our brethren, with boys, with men, with this machismo thing. And that's so outdated, man.
Yeah. Also, the use of a fat suit in this movie, was it worse or better than The Whale with dearly departed last year, Meatloaf, who died recently?
Don't fuck with Rob Bottin, man. He did the man tits right.
He did. Those are incredible. I always thought it was the real Meatloaf until I learned it was a fat suit later on. And
significantly less funny to me now. Like I'm watching the movie now, and I'm like, this is some poor fucker who got his balls cut off. He's dealing with cancer. I like it's not like the whole bitch tits and all that stuff. I'm like, I'm not laughing. There is stuff that I laughed at in the movie, but there's stuff like that that's supposed to be funny. Now I'm like, you know, again, like maybe I'm just lost my sense of humor.
That's it.
Rat boy humor.
That's it. Everything is supposed to be either funny or cool. I'm sorry if I cut you off.
That's fine.
But and definitely years after this, we only thought it was funny and cool. Yeah. And thank God here in 2023, we have movies like Joker that have similar aspects to this film, but we don't walk out of the theater quoting Arthur Fleck. We have conversations about the mentally ill and what we can do about people like this in the incel culture, whatever the fuck you want to label it as. It's a very different conversation for the better.
Yeah, it's almost like this movie was, if Reddit was a movie, Fight Club is this. That's to me, it's like Reddit come to life. There's so much. There's like a billion subreddits within Fight Club. That's how I see it. Because you just nailed some points that are awful and shitty humor, but consequential information and aspects of thought are happening because of the movie, and that's a good thing. It's also, I mean, the performances all around are great. We talk about the acting here. I mean, Edward Norton does great work, and Brad Pitt kind of took himself, I think, in a new direction. Yeah, he made himself into something more with this film, frankly, with a part that's not overly complicated, but he has such a energy and a vibe that he gives off without saying words, which is a hard thing to do, I think. And I got to give him all the credit, even if I don't give a shit about his character, and I have other things to say about this movie at the end. But well done, acting all around.
Yeah,
it feels like we're shitting on it, so we better say some positive things about it.
I mean, the film is on a technical level. It's just
God. Yeah. Oh my dude, Jeff Cronenweth is one of my favorite cinematographers, and a movie oh my God, the blacks are so black. Like the movie looks so grimy and dark. Like nowadays, if they would have shot this on fucking digital, all the blacks would look blue. It looked like a fucking stupid fake moonlight bullshit. I love the cinematography of this. It's just so rich, it's so grimy.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, and this is why I mean, there's a lot of reasons why I didn't fully understand the film the first time I saw it, but I was so enthralled by the way it looked. I was like, how did they do this? This is going to change everything. And it did. You know, Fincher changed the way film is presented on the screen. But yeah, it's a beautiful looking film. And everybody tried to copy it after that. So
yeah, all that CGI stuff. Which, forgive me if you've already addressed this, but like behind the fridge and all that stuff, it doesn't hold up super great as far as the CGI goes. But when I first saw it, I couldn't tell
Cartoon
at first,
caps.
and some of it still looks pretty good, good enough, and it's certainly creative. Although something that for me does not hold up is this score. The Dust Brothers, they've been they came and went. I mean, this score just feels so fucking dated.
Oh,
It does.
I can't help but agree with that. That was one thing and I don't know if it's because I've seen the film so many times and everybody played that on repeat back in, but yeah, it was annoying. Yeah, it kind of got to me this time around.
Now the soundtrack's good. I mean, when they're walking into the bar to Going Out West by Tom Waits, literally one of the best moments, like uses of a song ever.
Right. Are you kidding me? I mean, first thing you ever think of with this movie is "Where's My Mind." It made that song a phenomenon in my mind. That was it's always associated.
I have a friend who's
great.
Yeah, I have a friend who's in her 50s, and she was talking about, and she grew up listening to the Pixies, and she was talking about how their big hit single, Here Comes Your Man," and all that stuff. And I'm like, yeah, back in the day, that's not the one that they're known for anymore. She's like, what, really? I'm like, yeah, it's Where Was My Mind? That's the one.
Yeah. Absolutely, right? Yeah.
I gotta say, I teared up at the end, when the Where's My Mind came. Everything started flooding back to me. Like, Paul used to play this on the guitar. Everything just started coming back, and I just started. I got a little
it's a perfect track for that ending. I'm not gonna lie.
It is. Perfect. Yeah,
the musical selection, the score, the soundtrack is great. The score sucks. Just the complete opposite ends.
The Dust Brothers, man, they're back for more.
Oh, I know that song.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping like the whole reveal would be a little more palatable, but I don't know. I spent the movie just kind of wishing there were two separate characters because it would have meant so much to me to see two distinct personalities in the late 90s, like just having these actual conversations as opposed to this gotcha moment that it proceeds with. I don't know, man.
Hey, Jared Leto's in this movie too, guys.
Angel Face.
Oh yeah, Angel Face. Yeah.
I love that.
This is probably the first thing that he did after what's the TV show? My So-Called Life.
Oh yeah.
So this is probably the first thing that he did after that I saw, at least, or that stuck out to me, where I'm like, this guy is he's good. That's Jared Leto. I remember him. I remember that show. And it's very small role, but very, very memorable role.
And one of my favorites on this viewing, like Mike, I'm so sorry, but like I kept hoping, and I kind of forgot about the whole beatdown scene just for a second because it's been so long. But I'm watching like these initial fights, and I'm like, oh shit, they're not gonna be like broing it up after this. Your emotions are gonna fucking take over. Your own life is gonna get into things, and if that's why people didn't like actually do fight clubs in real life, because it would go beyond this personal enlightenment thing, and you have your own shit going, and that does end up happening in here. And I thought it was fucking pitch perfect.
I think that most people have a hard time fucking people without getting emotionally involved, and I think the same is probably true about fighting.
Yes. I typed this in the comments when Steve mentioned this melee earlier that did happen in Ypsilanti 2004. It really did happen. Yeah, it was awful. It was a huge crew. It was like 10 of us, like Chad Williams, my brother. It was a massive crew. Everybody was there. And I wrote this. It was so intense. I cried after. I did. I was a 24-year-old man. Like, the violence of the moment was so intense. Chad got knocked out cold. Like, it was real. I was like, oh my God, this is too real. I cried. And I didn't even get hit in the face or anything. That's how intense violence is for me. And I think I'm a pretty typical guy. So when you get in high-level situations that involve fist or any type of physical response to you that is threatening, it will always heighten your senses, because first off, that's a natural response, and then secondly, whatever emotional shit you got going on is going to pour out of you very, very likely. If it doesn't happen right away, it'll happen shortly after.
Fuck, I'm so sorry, but you nailed it. All of my response would be the same way. I would be so like scared of this emotion and this violence that I would probably cry if I saw that. These characters see it as this enlightening moment, and they're all so happy that this happened. Didn't ring true to me.
And their lives are so terribly empty. One thing about our past that has always blown my mind is that whenever you guys got in these big, huge brawls, I was always conveniently not there. I was not there for a single one of them. I can only assume that I must have diffused the situations when I was there, and then when I wasn't there, you guys fought.
Clearly,
Let's
you
not
were the
forget
crux,
Paul's
man.
Billy Club in his back.
It's all about me, but no, it happened over and over again. Like I'd be gone for the weekend in West Virginia or something. I come back like, oh, we got in a big fight. I'm like, again?
Yeah, yeah. There's other certain characters in our crew that were more willing to fight. I'm certainly not a fighter. You're right. I wish I was with you away. I didn't want to be involved with that.
I wish you were too.
Yeah. But does this? But Paul, does this movie glorify violence? Is it obviously glorifying it?
I would say more so. Yes. I mean, I don't know. Maybe not, because it's not like I watched the movie, wanted to go out and get in a fight. So maybe not. No.
No.
But at the same time, I did fight when I was in college. So who knows? Maybe
put on Fight Club, get ramped up, go out there and kick some ass.
I would say no. It probably doesn't. Yeah, baby.
Hey, Daddy, don't fight. It's bad.
Feels like a movie made by people that have never been in a fight. Like you watch Platoon by Oliver Stone, and you can sense the perspiration and the fear and everything and the celluloid. This I don't know, man.
We've never been in a fight. This is a movie made by non-violent people.
But at the same time, it doesn't come off realistic because, like you were saying, like nobody's scared, everybody's happy, everybody's getting the shit kicked out of themselves, and then they get up and they're like hugging. Like who does that?
Yeah, it's almost saying like it's a gateway to something greater than yourself, which I don't like that message at all. I'm not saying that's obvious to everyone, but some people probably did take it from that because the characters do seem. I don't know. They seem, even if they're pissed or bitter or depressed throughout the film, all the characters, I'm talking about everybody who's involved in the Fight Club, there does seem to be a bit of a common bond that they're grateful for, which is a weird message, I think.
Yeah, I mean, they're trying to hit rock bottom. They're trying to sacrifice like space monkeys for what? I'm not sure. But like there is this belief that suffering is real and everything else is bullshit. And so everything about your life must revolve around suffering. Like, for instance, you must wear a robe and slog through a basement full of water and then go upstairs with water dripping all over you and then go lie down in bed soaked, just living in damp moistness all the time. That's just suffering.
Oh my God. That house was the real dump. That's for sure. That house is so gross, man. Impressive. Ugh.
Well, should we wrap this up?
Any other thoughts? Any notes that anybody didn't get to here on the Fight Club film?
It comes out at a weird time, man. 6 months after Columbine, we have this like scene where he's talking about shooting up the office.
Oh yeah,
and it flops. It makes $37 million on its $63 million budget. It's not a hit. It's not a hit at all. People were confused. They walked out of the theater befuddled. And I mean, 2 years after this, we get 9/11, and this desire for solidarity and not division comes in and develops the landscape. So it just comes in at this weird time. And yet us as 18, 19-year-olds, we grab hold of it. I would love to hear what a kid nowadays would think about this. It's just it's perpetually interesting.
Well, that was that period. We talked about that. Go ahead, Paul.
Well, I was just going to say, like, had 9/11 happened before the film got released, it would have never gotten released. No. And I'm very, like Eric said, I'm very curious what like today's generation thinks of it. Obviously, it has an 8.8, much higher than I expected.
Yeah,
I was giving 7.5. I was like, all right, that's probably too high, but wow.
Like, I was thinking, like, do current audiences, how do they feel about him threatening his boss to stalk his coworkers and shoot them one by one? Like, there is things in this movie that really just don't work anymore.
Very much. And especially for me, the Marla stuff. Like, it's just like, wow, this is this is slightly
Horrific.
misogynistic. Yeah.
And the joke about her having sex and that she hadn't had sex that good since like grade school. It's like, oh, that's not at all funny.
Yeah.
That's sad.
know.
That's just really, really sad. I get it's black
Right.
comedy, but I don't have a sense of humor about that, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Paul, you know how we close the show, right, Paul?
No. Well,
No, he's already announced that he thinks it holds up, so he has.
All right.
no
Well,
idea.
let someone else go first, and he can follow suit. So usually we let the guest go first, but since you're such a newbie, I'll go first. Look, I'll show you how it's done. Fight Club is a movie that I never got as much as everybody else in terms of its cultural impact. And like you guys said, you watched it a lot here. Both Travis and Eric did. I never watched it as much as you guys did. I hadn't watched it in a really long time. I found it when I was younger. I always thought it was a laborious effort. It didn't have a rewatchability for me. I didn't want to like throw it on and be like, oh, this is great. I'm just going to play video games and watch this. It wasn't of interest to me. And I'm not sure what exactly it was about this film that turned me off because, as we hinted on earlier, the message about capitalism, I love it. And like how we are automatons and we're floating through this life at times. There's a lot of great social and philosophical points to dive in on, which the movie does well. But at the same time, I just don't think it's something that I want to go back and recommend because I don't think the script's that great. The whole two-character thing, the duality, oh, he's two people, he's one. It doesn't seem to, for me, to hold up as well when you watch it later on. A lot of great acting, a lot of incredible performances, messages that I think could spark a ton of conversation. In fact, I know it has because we literally have talked about it tonight on the show. But it's not something I want to go back and revisit. I think it's overrated. I think it was kind of taken and boosted up by people who love violence and want to glorify things about our culture and society in the United States that I'm not into. Like we said, toxic masculinity is one easy example. It's easy to say that buzzword, that buzz term, but it's just like the kind of frat asshole who would watch this movie when I was 20, who wouldn't get it at all and would take it and make it something else. And in a way, it's almost like the ultimate American movie because people make it what they want it to be in their own lives. So that is a good reflection of the people it's actually projected to. But for me, it's not a movie I really want to watch again. So I can't approve it. I'm going to say it doesn't hold up for me.
Oh man, I was chatting with Aaron Worley last night about the movie. I was gearing up for the show. I was a little worried, anxious about what my thoughts were. So I checked in with him, and he made me laugh. He just said, "Look, dude, I enjoy it because I enjoy watching sexy men and violence, and yeah, sometimes that's really fun. And at the end of the day, we do have a movie that's basically Slim Pickens riding an atom bomb." It's satire. It's fucking satire, or at least 1999's best attempt at it. But still, I'm looking at it today, and its theme is clearly the emasculation of the American male in 1999, and today, dude, I mean, it aims to revive the most unhealthy aspects of masculinity that just don't hold up today. And I don't want to be that guy that's like, oh, men are evil, but it's cruel, ugly things that they are glamorizing. And it's hard to look past today, especially as a father and someone who works with children. I can't look past it, man. We got a world today that is just obsessed with this identity crisis, okay? And I'm watching a movie where a guy's identity crisis is that he's obsessed with his fucking couch and that like he's stupid shit, juvenile shit, man. The movie is technically it's unforgettable. I mean, it's for the ages. I mean, this is a movie that raised us, inspired us, led to so many great things in film. When I sit back and look at the narrative, I just see this movie about a bunch of fucking crybabies. I can't help it. I laugh, but it's pushing this agenda too much, and it's just a bunch of whiny white guys. I'm sorry. I love it, and I hate to backpedal, but because of what it's done for a film, it's going to hold up. What are we even fucking talking about?
That was the most confusing closing we've ever had on the show.
Circuitous, man.
Wow. You covered all aspects, though.
It's
Well
very
done.
circuitous. But
You
like,
are.
it's like arguing about like Taxi Driver. There's so many fucking problems, but it's a fucking milestone.
There you go. Paul, you want to go? Or you want me to go?
I mean, I'm just going to piggyback off that a bit. I mean, for me, it held up in a sense of the consumerism side. You know, I still resonate with that to this day. I love when films can kind of touch base on that. I do think it's a problem in society. I always have. But again, you know, the parts that rubbed me wrong were the, you know, kind of the condoning of violence or condoning of belittling women and their importance in society. You know, there is a, you know, toxic masculinity to the film. And again, like we saw it even way back in the day of, you know, the local frat kid that didn't understand it, dressed up as Tyler Durden and goes out and starts a bunch of fights at the local bar. I saw it all the time and it drove me nuts. But luckily we don't see that anymore. But, you know, I am curious as to, you know, how people sort of resonate with the film these days. That's something that actually interests me is you know, kind of touching base on today's generation and seeing what they think about it. Overall, the film did hold up for me. I still enjoyed the film. I wouldn't say the same way I did years ago, but you know, but it did sort of change the industry in a lot of ways, both technically. Obviously, you know, it's very well done, very well acted. So yeah, I still enjoyed the film.
I was reading this sociological article recently about why people revisit movies that they've seen a whole bunch of times, and the sociologists had gone in with the expectation that they do it, that they watch it for comfort and for nostalgia, and of course that's part of it. But also, it's not so much that it's trying to bring you back to the time that you were. You're kind of making marks in your, like, on the wall of your own progress, because like you have changed. And I have changed drastically since I enjoyed this movie, and watching it the other night reminded me of all of the ways that things that used to amuse me or think that I thought was cool or indifferent to, now I have feelings about that are different. The movie's nihilistic as fuck. Very, very nihilistic movie. And it's so weird now to watch this movie and this whole big speech that on one hand makes sense. We really are of a generation that was lied to that we could be or do anything we want if we try hard enough and got a college education. And we really are fucked by that. And we really are angry by that. But then he goes on to talk about how, like, you know, our depression is our lives. And like how, like, the real problem is that we have not been challenged and that we've had no, like, life experiences. And I'm like, dude, what we've gone through since this movie came out, what I would do for my problem to be that I like IKEA too much.
Exactly.
You know,
That's
it's kind of hard to, I mean, like, I understand the urban malaise or the suburban malaise shit that's happening here. But it is kind of hard to relate to. So, and then I very much feel like it's so generational and of its time, as you guys have all said. Like, what do the kids think about this? I don't know. I don't have any fucking kids. Certainly not that I can talk about this movie with. So it feels very much, given its importance in American culture and cinema culture, it is a relic. Is it a cultural relic that is of incredible importance? And everyone should watch it. And however you feel about it, it matters the way that, like you said, Taxi Driver matters, or the way that The Matrix matters. The certain movies that just kind of come in and just tweak the whole way that filmmaking is done. And so whether you like it, whether you don't like it, whether you agree with every little bit of it, or whether you disagree with a lot of it, I think it's an incredibly important movie. And it still is very interesting to watch. I don't agree with every message. I don't know that I understand every message. but there's a lot of value here in rewatching it, and I was glad to revisit it. It holds up.
That's the thing. Real quick, you've said it all. I'm not. I can't trump anything you said because you said it all, Travis. But we're 42, but this movie was made by grown-ups, for a lack of a better term. It seems like they would know better than do a lot of the stuff.
We didn't do Me, Myself, and Irene, which also deals with split personalities in a way that it's just ridiculous. I've been around DID before. It's nothing like either one of these fucking movies. But yeah, as I'm watching that movie, I was thinking to myself, did 42-year-olds laugh then? And I guess the same question is about this. Like, did 42-year-olds, what did they make of this movie? I got to dig up a 64-year-old who saw this when he was younger, I guess. And
look at the top critics. That's why they all hated it.
No, you're right. That's it.
My parents hated that movie. They hated it.
Yeah, this is very much for. Yeah, this is a time and place, like very specific. Hey, white guys of a certain country, of a certain generation, this movie's for you. 2 million of you are gonna love it.
Well, you said it. There it is. That's Fight Club, 1999 film in the can. All thanks to Paul Frieling for selecting it. We needed to do it, and I'm glad it's over now. We don't have to do it again.
And we broke the first 2 rules.
Paul, you're the best, man. Great to have you on the show. But before you leave and we leave and say goodbye, it's not over yet. We got to pick next week's film. What is going to be next week's film that we select?
Well, it's supposedly my turn. Do you want to do Me, Myself, and Irene, Mike? We didn't get to do your pick.
No, it's okay. You guys, you go. We'll move on. It's all right.
You sure?
Let's move forward. Yeah, I don't.
All right.
It comes, it goes. I don't take it seriously. If it's okay, let's go. Let's do something fresh.
Okay. It's funny. I had a few movies that I was banging around in my head, and almost all of them came up during this podcast, like they somehow always magically do. But I'm going to go with one that we did not talk about at all tonight. A director we've not done, a genre we've not really visited. This movie, when I watched it, I think I saw it 6 times in theaters. I remember going with my girlfriend and my friend Christian Haraminski at the time, and straight up like quizzing each other afterwards, like, hey, what was the license plate on the ambulance? I was so obsessed with this movie that I took a white t-shirt and a black magic marker and made my own t-shirt as a 24-year-old man.
Here we go.
It's time to go to our first reboot, a remake, I should say, 2004's Dawn of the Dead.
There it is.
Oh, nice.
Travis went to see this movie every day when it came out.
It was ridiculous. I was obsessed.
Zack Snyder,
James Gunn.
His best movie, in my opinion.
I think I agree with you.
Question there. I mean,
yeah. That's a whole other episode.
I've never seen it. I don't know anything about it, but I'll watch it for next week.
Wild.
So.
All right. Great.
Yeah.
Paul, we love you, man.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much.
Love you too, guys.
Tell Nick and John we say hello. Tell Dave, David, tell all your buddies that you're friends with that we give them our best.
I will.
We wish you the best. Thanks for joining us, man. It's been great having you.
Yeah. And let's keep in touch. Text me anytime, and let's do this again.
Text me. Don't call me. Text me.
Don't call me.
If that.
No phone calls. Yeah, we'll have Paul back on. He'll come back and pick another movie. He was a good guest. Unless you guys disapprove, let us know. cinema9pod@gmail.com. We'd like to thank our live commenter. Yeah, vote him off. The Cinema 9 Island. Will he stick around? The tribe has spoken. Paul, you're out. Thanks to Steve popping in and Christian for the email. Thanks for the emails. We love you guys. That's the movie show for this week from Cinema 9's World. So Travis, Eric, Paul, and Michael, we'll see you soon.
All right. See you guys.
Silly coos.